Welcome into the I-80 Boys College Football Podcast. As always, I'm Christian Hunt, part-time podcast host, and that young guy right over there is
Wow, you threw me off with young. Usually it's old AARP member. Chris Bach, I'm one of the co-hosts of this show sometimes. Christian, I can't believe we're like approaching like halfway through the college football season, dude. We talk about it all the time, how amped up we are to get here, and it's gone by so fast. You know what I mean? It's been a great first 6 weeks of the season. A lot of upsets. A lot of surprises, man. I'm just super amped up, though, about this, man. We're on the brink of being halfway there, man. I'm pretty pumped. So what'd you think last weekend, though, with the slate of games? A lot of interesting games. I know your Georgia Bulldogs just dismantled Kentucky. How you feeling so far about the season so far overall? Like just overall with the slate of games and how the season's gone.
very up, very down. I feel like it's shaping out to be, every year in college football, I think there's a lot of unexpected things that happen. I think this year, though, we truly, going into this week, don't know who's the number one team.
Good point.
I mean, don't get me wrong. Like you said, Georgia had a great game against the top 25 Kentucky team last week. But every team this year has sort of, in my opinion, given me questions or weaknesses that they have that are going to make this playoff seem a lot more interesting and just different games as we get going, right?
Yeah, no, I agree with you. That you brought up a good point, Christian. I don't mean to touch on this very long, but yeah, who really is the number one team? You know what I mean? There's been I think there's just I can't wait till we go to a 12-team playoff just so you find out through the tournament, right? I mean, there's just so many teams. Even this year is a perfect example. Who really is the number one team? People are going to say Michigan. Well, who has Michigan played? Who they played? We would look at, Georgia played finally a complete game and just beat the shit out of a Kentucky team who I think is a pretty solid team. We talk about, hell, who else? Florida State, big wins over Clemson. They beat, LSU week one. But who is LSU, right now? So, like, there's a lot of questions out there. We obviously could talk about USC with no defense. We're going to get into a little Oregon, Washington here, I'm sure, so shortly. But a lot of teams out there that I think could definitely be considered a number one team in the nation right now. That's a good thing about college football. We're going to play it out at the end of the year. I'm pumped about it, Christian. I'm sure you are as well.
Absolutely, Chris. Looking at some of the matchups that we've got here, this is, not every week you're going to have, tier one games, top 25 games that are going to be exciting. Some weeks you're going to have, interesting games. Like one game I didn't watch last night was the App State Coastal Carolina game. Apparently that was a pretty wild game.
It was. I actually caught the end of it. It's funny. Gator Swag brought that up. Not a game I would, say that they're top probably 40 teams, but it was actually a very interesting end of that game and fourth quarter. I will agree with him there.
But speaking of top 25 matchups, though, we got number 8 Oregon taking on number 7 Washington here, Chris. You've been high on the Ducks. Tell me a little bit about Oregon and what we should expect from them.
Well, I'll tell you this much, man. Dan Lanning, who, God, Christian, you know a little bit about him, don't you? Being a
little
man.
bit.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah.
I like myself some Dan Lanning, man. I think he's a very underrated coach. I think he's one of the better coaches in the country, personally. But Oregon, as we know, 5-0, coming off the bye week. I think the only close game was, Texas Tech week 2. That was kind of a struggle. They came back in that game, did what they needed to do, won that game. This game, like, one team has to win and one has to lose here. And the Pac-12, as we know, is just loaded this year. There's probably 6 or 7 really pretty good teams in the Pac-12. And I think the winner of this one here is going to be in the driver's seat overall at the end of the year. I truly do. I think most people would agree with that. The great thing about Oregon, and I will say this under Dan Lanning especially, they're probably one of the most balanced teams you can find in the country. They run the ball well. They pass the ball incredibly well with Bo Nix. But I think in this game, and I do, you're going to let me know about Washington and Michael Penix. But I think Oregon is going to have to run the football, sustain some clock, keep Michael Penix off the field. I truly, truly do. It's kind of the Patrick Mahomes syndrome, in the NFL. Bucky Irving, Jordan James are averaging over 8 yards a carry, Christian, this year. I mean, we're 5 or 6 weeks through the season. That's pretty incredible. Oregon has shown that they can really run the ball. Bo Nix, 15 touchdowns to 1 interception. You can't get much better than that, especially out of Bo Nix. We watched him play at Auburn for years. Struggled with the turnovers down there. He's looked elite this year, especially under Dan Lanning. Hats off to that guy. Here's the thing. They got Troy Franklin on the outside, Christian. We know about what he can do. Big-time wideout, man. This guy, they need to get him involved early and often in this game, especially against a good Washington defense. Kid has 32 catches for 535 yards, 7 TDs through 5 games. That's right up there with some of the elite this year. Get the ball to that kid. Everybody knows about him, especially on the West Coast. But here's my big thing. Can Oregon slow down Michael Penix and that Washington offense, man? Penix is right now probably 1-2 in the Heisman if you had to pick today. Washington's offense, I don't know what more to say about him. They're just elite. One of the best offenses in the country. Oregon's defense, so on the other side, is only giving up, Christian, 11.8 points per game, which is 6th in the country. You can't be much better than that. But they also get a lot of pressure on the quarterback. They get 18 sacks so far, or they have 18 sacks, this year on the season. That's top 20 as well. But at the end of the day, can they get pressure on Penix and keep him off the field? That is the big thing for me for Oregon going into this game. Christian, feel free to enlighten me. I can't talk on Washington.
Yeah, Chris, I mean, it's the battle of the unbeatens here. I mean, this is going to be a great game. Michael Penix, he's hitting about 76% of his passes this season. He's thrown 16 touchdown passes to only 2 interceptions, right? By the way, I mean, most of what the Huskies want to do is throw the ball. I mean, they're posting 447 yards per game through the air, all right? They're still putting up 123 yards on the ground, too. So, again, they're going to live and die by throwing the football. This offense, Chris, they're ranked number 1 in the country in total offense, right? Now they're going up against a very stout Oregon defense right on Saturday, so it'll be interesting to see how that matches up. They rank 62nd in total defense, and this ultimately, is where I think this game's going to be won and lost. You touched on Oregon's offense going up against Washington's defense. My question, can they limit Bo Nix and the Ducks' high-flying offense? Because they can put up some points too. So, Chris, the thing that I'm looking at for Washington is they're currently tied for 122nd right now in sacks this year. So they need to be able to generate some pressure. Now, the good news is the secondary has been pretty good even without those sacks this year. Chris, what are your thoughts and what are your predictions on this one?
You guys talked about it, or I should say you've talked about it, but it's been thrown out the internet all week. I've heard a lot of chatter about both sides on this game. We got fans on the show of both teams. We've heard a lot so far this week. This is tough. I thought about this up until this show, honestly, and I'm going to give you my prediction here. Oregon 35, Washington 38. I'm calling an overtime game, Christian. And the reason why I'm leaning Washington, it's at home. I think these two teams are so evenly matched, and this is just going to be a fun one to watch overall.
I've been going back and forth, and even right now I'm kind of going back and forth on it, Chris. I've got Oregon 35, Washington 31.
Ooh. Okay. I like it.
Now, the reason why I say this, and I know, again, in the all off season, we kind of touched on, Washington and who we thought would win the Pac-12 and everything like that. I'm still high on Washington. Just because I think Washington might lose this game right now doesn't mean I don't think they're going to rematch them again in the championship game and end up
100%. 100%.
And making it right.
No, I agree with you. I think honestly, I think these two teams are better than USC. Maybe that's a bold take, but I truly do. They have way better defenses than USC. I think these two teams are the best so far I've seen this year. Now everybody's going to say, who the fuck have they played, that whole thing. But I think we're going to find out this week. And I think this game is so close. And I honestly, the only reason why I lean Washington in this game, Christian, is because it's at home. That's it. I think these two teams are just both really good. And I as a fan, I just want it to be a good game. I hope it's fun, just like the Texas-Oklahoma game last weekend.
Yeah. I mean, you said it right, Chris. I mean, just so long as it's a great game, that's all I care about. I mean, for Daniel's sake, obviously, I hope Washington wins. But yeah, I mean, absolutely, Chris. It'll be interesting to see, sticking around here with some of that Pac-12 action here. We got USC, who's currently number one right now as far as the Pac-12 standings are concerned, going up against Notre Dame. Chris, I'll start us off here talking about USC. Look, USC just survived, all right, in 3 overtimes against Arizona to stay unbeaten, right? But they look terrible on defense. And it's one thing to look at a team and be like, God, they cannot stop anybody. But when you start digging into the stats, Chris, they're 109th in total defense this year.
Grade A garbage.
They're gonna run into a couple teams that are in their conference before the season's over that are probably going to put the clamps on them on the offense, against that offense, and they're probably going to be able to put up some points. So, yeah, it's not looking all that great. The future is, anyways, for USC. Lincoln Riley doing Lincoln Riley things. I mean, this is who he is. This is who he's been. This is who he's going to be. Great offense, terrible defense. And the thing about Riley I just don't get is, why can't he get a defensive coordinator? I mean, think about this, Chris. In the NFL, I say names like McVay, Shanahan. They have pretty good defenses, and they're offensive gurus.
Yep.
I don't get it. Caleb Williams in the offense, they've had, to bail them out a lot this year, and they're probably going to have to do the same thing this week against Notre Dame. Notre Dame's going to be the best defense they've seen all year. So, I mean, if they come out flat like they did like the last couple weeks, I expect Notre Dame to get some stops early and often and put this one away early. It almost doesn't matter, whether it's the Trojans defense, whether USC is playing San Jose State or Arizona State with a third-string quarterback. I mean, every week someone feasts on them. So, how Sam Hartman and the Irish going to look in this one, right? And a gotta-have-it game at home for them, right? I mean, tell me a little more about the Notre Dame Fighting Irish over there, Chris.
Yeah, no, you bring up a lot of good points. My love for Lincoln Riley and how great that defense is. But Notre Dame's 5-2. But everybody wants to hear about what the fuck happened last week against Louisville, right? I know a lot of people were high on Notre Dame this year. They had that heartbreaking loss to Ohio State. Last play of the game, 10 men on the field. Apparently Marcus Freeman can't count. I don't know. But what I do know is they got fucking destroyed in the fourth quarter against Louisville last week. I watched most of that game. And hats off to Louisville. We didn't see that one coming. We'll admit it over here on the I-80 boys. We were wrong about that. But what happened to the run game in that game for Notre Dame? What happened to Estime? This guy was supposed to be one of the top 10 backs in the country. They had 44 yards rushing against Louisville last week. Sam Hartman hadn't thrown a pick going into that game. Had 3, Christian. 3. I don't know what the hell's going on with Notre Dame's offense or what happened. I'm not sure. But if Notre Dame comes out like they did last week, Christian, they're going to get blown off the face of the planet by USC and Caleb Williams. I know that sounds crazy. I know USC don't have a defense. But if you come out against Louisville and you struggle to put up points against them, we know SC can put up some points. That's one thing they can do this year, and that's how they've been surviving. I would like to think they will be able to run the ball against SC here as bad as their defense is. And we've talked about forever, it seems like. Christian, I'm going to give you my prediction right here. And I'm going to go against the grain in this one. As we see the matchup predictor there, 60% of the country's taking Notre Dame. Give me SC in this one. And I know that's a crazy take. Give me SC 34, Notre Dame 31.
You mess around and go 7-0 last week and just start wanting to pick against the grain.
Yeah, I know, right?
Give me Notre Dame 38, USC 28, Chris. I think listen, Notre Dame, this is not the season that they've asked for, but I'm going to tell you right now, they've got to be pissed off coming into this one, and I think that's going to make a pretty big difference. I mean, USC, they're just playing every week like they want to get beat. And with Lincoln Riley's track record, I mean, it's a big matchup. Not saying he can't get big wins. I just think this is the one where he gets clipped, and this kind of doesn't bode well for him.
No, I like it, and I'll tell you why I like it. Somebody just knock USC off, please. Somebody. That's what I'm waiting for personally as a fan. I'm not a big SC fan. I'm not a big Notre Dame fan, but somebody knock Lincoln Riley off and get this motherfucker off the planet because he can't put a defense onto the field for the 8th straight year.
Kind of just makes you wonder, man. Like, how do you make it this far as a coach? Because it's not like, oh, this is his first head coaching job. He's like Ryan Day or somebody that has explosive offenses. This has been his knock since like 2018 that he's not a defensive guy. Like they've been okay, but I mean, they haven't been like lights out. I mean, have they?
No. He took Oklahoma to the playoffs 3 times. They got blown off the face of the planet because they can't stop anybody. Had Kyler Murray, all these elite, quarterbacks, and they can't. Yeah, great. You could put up points just like Caleb Williams can, but it's like you can't fucking stop anybody. USC might make the playoffs this year if they would happen to win this game and somehow win the Pac-12, but they ain't beating anybody in the playoff. I've been saying that forever. Christian, I know you're on board with me. Lincoln Riley, he gets me fired up. It does, because like I said, put a goddamn defense out there, just a halfway decent one.
Yeah, it makes no sense what they're doing. Just no sense at all, Chris. Surprise, I guess. Let me ask you this: as far as the USC portion of this and Notre Dame, you took USC flat outright to win. How do you think? So you think they're going to march down and just score at will on that defense?
I do. If Louisville put up over 30 points, I don't see why USC can't put up 40. I don't. I'm serious. That's the way. I know that sounds crazy. I know I'm not with the rest of the country or most people on this one, but I think USC squeaks out one here. I do. I'm not. I watched the Notre Dame game. Sam Hartman. I know people are going to say, "Hey, that was just a bad game from start to finish." Okay, I get it, and I know USC it's going to be close. I just honestly think that I don't think USC's defense could play any worse than they did last week, and I don't think Notre Dame's offense could play any worse either. So I'm leaning USC because I know one thing USC can do. They could score points.
I agree. I mean, that is one thing he could do. He's a perfect offensive coordinator. Daniel and Children of the Corn both said it. I think he's gone after this season. Again, especially if they don't make the playoffs this year. I mean, that's why you go out and get somebody like Lincoln Riley. That's why you go out and get somebody like him.
I got a question here. I want to throw this in here. I don't think he's gone after this year because they go to the Big 12 next year. That offense will the Big 12 will have a difficult time trying to stop those Oregon's the same way. Offenses are so good, but defensively though, I mean Iowa might be able to score against their defense. And holy shit, I'm saying something there when I just said that. You know what I mean? God damn. Fuck.
Gator Swag says biggest upset this weekend. I don't know. Give me Vandy over Georgia.
Hey, Chris, you want to put some money on that?
Fuck no. Children of the Corn says, where would he go if he gets fired? Alabama to be their offensive coordinator.
God, I don't think he leaves. I think you put him in the Big 12. I think he'll have, especially with how they're gonna. There's no divisions next year. I don't know how it works out, but I just think that like. They're so you guys forget how good they are offensively. Like their offenses, they recruits. They got some of the best wide receivers, running backs. They're so loaded offensively. It's going to be tough for any. I mean, the Big Ten West has a hard time scoring 20 points a game. Even though I know USC's defense sucks, they would mollywop most of us over here, even Nebraska, because we can't score. And I just think that USC can. He is Christian said he's a great offensive mind. He is. He's amazing. He's Christian, you would say he's probably the best coach developing quarterbacks right now in college football. I mean, every quarterback he touches is, just elite as shit.
Yeah. Daniel said he's going to the NFL with Caleb. Man, we've already seen that, though. We saw that with Cliff Kingsbury.
Yeah.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, I think the Cardinals are, a terrible organization.
Caleb Williams ain't going to the NFL this year. I don't think he's going. I don't. I really don't. He don't want the Cardinals. He picked 5 teams he wants to play for, and everybody but the Giants is actually a really good team and isn't going to be the top 10 in the draft trying to draft him. So he said he makes more money too, by the way, in college.
Although I will say this, What if the Vikings somehow put together a trade? Somehow could figure out a way to get Caleb Williams.
Actually, it's funny you say that. That was one of the teams on his list.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, I mean, imagine him somehow. I don't know how they would do it, but imagine they trade like just the rest of the farm. They go out, get Williams, fire their coach, right, and turn around and get not Kingsbury, might as well be Lincoln Riley and Caleb Williams to pair with Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison.
You imagine him throwing the ball to those two? He already threw it to Jordan Addison last year. Oh my God! Give him a little Justin Jefferson. Holy shit!
Bro, it'd be over.
Yeah, that offense would be elite first year in the season. That's what's crazy. And NFL is a whole different game. Anyway,
we'll jump back into some more of that here in just a second. Looking at our next matchup here, keeping it parked in the Pac-12, UCLA versus Oregon State. Chris, tell me about the Beavers.
Man, the old Beavers, man, 5-1. Not surprising this year. I think Christian and I were pretty high on them to start the season. Their only loss, obviously, was Washington State by 3 in week 4. They're coming off a track meet game against Cal, which, by the way, Christian and I predicted to be close, and Cal was going to score some points. We got laughed off the internet. Ha, 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 back to you. No, we were there. We were close on that one. So Oregon State did pull it off. I think it was like 52-40. There was a lot of points scored in that game. Here's the big thing, though, coming in to UCLA. We know what UCLA is on defense. They're elite. But Oregon State defensively is going to have to play better in this one. Dante Moore is getting better every single week for UCLA. He's a true freshman, if you guys don't know. Under Chip Kelly, he was a 5-star recruit. They started in week 1. He's getting better every week. That's all I can say about that kid. He's not a bad quarterback at all. He's going to be really good here in another year. Offensively, though, the Beavers have looked good so far this year overall. DJ's put up some numbers. They're top 30 in yards per game and points scored. That's good enough, especially in the Pac-12 where there's a lot of good teams, obviously. But how will this stack up against UCLA's defense? I think this is the big key in this game. UCLA's defense is like literally, I think, like they only give it up like 12 points a game, something crazy like that in the Pac-12. Yeah. I think it comes down to Christian. But let me know about the UCLA or UCLA, as we like to call them, Bruins.
Yeah, Chris. I mean, they're coming off a major home upset over Washington State, right? And they should have their swagger back, and they'll need it because they're going up against a tough Oregon State team here. You talked about him, true freshman quarterback. Dante Moore. He struggled a bit, with interceptions as of late, right? He's had 3 in the last 2 games against Utah and Washington State, 2 of which I think he threw against Washington State.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, kept him in the game. Yep.
He's going to have to play much better on the road against a top 30 Oregon State defense and limit turnovers in order to give the Bruins a chance in this one, right? To combat that, UCLA is 22nd in rush offense, and they need to lean on their ground game to keep the ball out of the ukulele's hands.
Oh, you can't pronounce that wrong, by the way.
Well, I'm going to pronounce it how I damn well want. You can do the same thing too, Chris. And if you're going to be the grammar police here, well, we're probably not for you. So UCLA on defense, I mean, they're currently the number 5 team in the country in total defense, and they'll need to prove it, right? Oregon State is number 28 in total offense, and they look explosive at times. I remember I watched them play Utah, and they can get real explosive at points, right? Which is scary when you're trying to look at, and Utah has a really good defense too. So
they do.
The defense, I mean, look, they need to shut down Oregon State's rushing attack and make Ungale one-dimensional. I'll give you my score prediction at first here, Chris. Give me UCLA 17, Oregon State 28.
Ooh, okay. I like it. We're on the same page roughly. You topped it off best there. Give me UCLA 24, Oregon State 27. I think it's close. I'm going to give the edge to Oregon State. Corvallis is impossible for teams to win there. I lean Oregon State. Give me the Beavers by 3.
Beavs by 3, man.
Let's go.
I'm trying to make a pun out of that, but I don't think I can. So we won't even try. Let's look at this. I think everybody else is kind of, Gator Swag says 31-17 UCLA. All right. Children of the Corn says Oregon State by 10.
I like it.
I like it. I like it. I mean, look, dude, I just think it's a true freshman quarterback on the road. He's struggled at times. I mean, that's very up and down. Could he come out and ball out, and could they beat him and Oregon State have a bad game? It's possible, but I don't know, man.
Oregon State's very veteran-led, though.
They are.
Yeah.
And I look at it from that same standpoint of, I guess I look at it from that standpoint of, you got a true freshman quarterback. He's looked good at times, but man, when he's actually played real competition, he hasn't looked all that great. He's looked like a true freshman quarterback.
Yep. That's what you expect.
Yeah.
I'll say this, like, it's kind of ironic in this game, kind of weird because the Pac-12 is going to do this all year, Christians, where they're going to beat each other up. You have to kind of laugh, right? Because Washington State knocked off Oregon State, but then Washington State last week lost to UCLA. So it's a very – I just got to lean Oregon State in this one. Corvallis, you said it right away. True freshman on the road there. That's a tough environment, dude. It's a tough environment to win at. That's why I lean Oregon State in this one, but you make a great point, Christian.
Yeah. It'll be fun to see how that shakes out for sure. Speaking of fun matchups, Mizzou versus Kentucky. Chris, this is going to be a really fun one to watch. Both teams obviously coming off of disappointing losses. They were undefeated up until last week. I'll take the Kentucky man side here, and we'll talk about the best team money can't buy over there in Lexington. Look, Kentucky, I mean, they've had a weird 2 weeks, man. They blew out Florida and then got blown out by the defending national champion University of Georgia Bulldogs, dude. I'm still confident, though, in the Wildcats. I really am. I mean, this is a prime matchup against a Mizzou defense that gave up 274 yards rushing to a LSU team whose offensive identity is centered around Jayden Daniels and throwing the ball.
Yeah,
I expect Ray Davis to have at least 150 yards in this one, as Kentucky tries to ground and pound while controlling the clock over Mizzou. On the other side, UGA rocked them for over 600 yards of total offense, which won't look good in the box score, but I believe this Mizzou offense might be a little more favorable to them. It's at home for Kentucky. Now, Brady Cook and Cody Schrader, I mean, they have a bright future, but LSU literally doesn't have a defense. By the way, they rank 121st in total defense in the country, and Kentucky ranks 46th. So I'm pretty sure you and me would look elite back there, Chris, trying to do stuff. Kentucky's 13th in rush defense and will make Brady Cook and the Tigers offense one-dimensional, in my opinion. Tell me a little bit about Mizzou and why I'm wrong, probably.
No, I actually kind of agree with your statements there. We Christian covered most of my bases here for the Missouri man. They're 5-1, the disappointing loss last week to LSU. I watched that whole game. That was a track meet back and forth. It was a fun game to watch. LSU obviously came on top there at the end. But how did they bounce back this week against Kentucky, right? Who got dismantled by number 1 Georgia last week. It's going to be interesting here. Defensively, they're going to have to shut down Ray Davis in the ground game. Christian touched on him. Ray Davis, if you guys haven't watched him, probably one of the top 10 backs in the country. The guy's a stud, does it all. Transfer from Vanderbilt last year on to Kentucky. He's really good. LSU even had a ton of success, rushing against Mizzou last week. So it's kind of a little bit worrisome if you're Missouri right now. Offensively, though, Mizzou is in the top 25 in yards per game and points per game. They're averaging like 34 points per game. That's great. Brady Cook got the offense rolling. And this is a good thing I wanted to touch on Mizzou, Christian, because I get to talk about my wide receiver position and a guy by the name of Luther Burden III, one of the top-rated receivers coming out of the class a couple of years ago. He's one of my favorite players in the country. This dude might be the best wide receiver in the country, and I can't believe I'm saying that over Marvin Harrison. This guy leads the country in yards with 793 yards. He's got 54 receptions. And I've watched him play 3 or 4 games, Mizzou games. He's unguardable. The guy is elite. And he's from the state of Missouri, which is kind of cool. And that's why he ended up there. He decided to represent his own state, which I think is kind of cool, actually, if you think about it, especially in today's age with NIL money. If he could come out this year, he's only a true sophomore. He'd be in the first round easily in the NFL draft. He's that good. He's unguardable. He really, truly is. Not a huge guy either. He's fast as shit. Christian, I'm going to give you my prediction here, though. And I literally agree with pretty much your whole segment on Kentucky. I got Missouri 21. I got Kentucky 31. Give me the Wildcats.
Really?
You
Really?
bet.
After all that, you're going to do that?
Yeah,
Give me
I know.
Mizzou. Give me Mizzou 21, Kentucky 34.
What are you copying my scores? I mean, we're almost right there.
No, we don't consult about the scores. I
Nope.
mean, we like to surprise one another, and yeah, I just look. Looking at the box score on it, I mean, yeah, you're absolutely right. Mizzou has put up some numbers, but who the fuck have they played?
Well,
Chris?
so you say this right, and this I forgot to mention this during my segment. Missouri, this will be by far the best defense they're going to play all year in Kentucky. I know Kentucky got blown the fuck off the planet by Georgia, but throw the Georgia game out there. Kentucky's defense has been really good. I think they're like top 5 in the country in turnovers per game. Mizzou's going to have a tough time because Mizzou's defense is not very good. So I don't know. I'm with you on this one. That's why I had to try to brag up the Missouri man there. And if you haven't, by the way, guys, watch Luther Burden III, dude. This guy he's I can't believe I compare him with Marvin Harrison, but dude, he is really, really fun to watch. Kentucky will have a tough time with him. They will. He's averaging like 120 yards a game, dude. He's pretty elite.
Yeah. Burden.
Yeah.
Talking about.
Yep.
Mizzou every so often, dude, they get somebody electric. Like I remember one year they had was it Dorian Beckham Green or something like that?
Yep.
Who ended up being like I think the Titans ended up taking him. And this was a few years back, but he was considered one of the best wide receivers coming out of college.
Yep.
Didn't really do much in the NFL, but still, Mizzou will fuck around every once in a while, and they'll get some talent to the league.
Yep. Yeah, this kid will be. If he was coming out, he can't come out this year. He's a true sophomore, but he's a first round pick. He'll be the best receiver next year in college football, bar none. After Marvin Harrison leaves this year. Easy. He's that good, dude. And I like I told you earlier, I think it's kind of cool. I read his story today or the other day, and they said that he was a 5-star best receiver in high school in the country, and he decided to stay at Missouri just because it's his hometown or state. I thought that was you don't see that a lot. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You just I think that's really cool.
Do you know who the number 2 team on his list was, by the way?
Georgia Bulldogs, probably.
It was Georgia.
Was it?
Yeah.
No shit.
I remember the name. I remember we were right there till the very end. It basically came down to us and Mizzou, and I thought, don't even need to watch this kid commit. He's coming to Georgia. No brainer. Because it wasn't like Mizzou was doing this,
Right.
They weren't very relevant at the time. So
right.
And boy, could you imagine if he was a dog right now?
Oh God, dude, he is I don't want to call him George Pickens. We don't want to bring up his name. I know you might knock your table over there underneath the desk, but no, he's not that size. But boy, he's super quick. He runs incredible routes. Got great hands. He's everything is advertised, man.
He's a Mecole Hardman type.
Yes, there you go. Yep.
Chris, looking ahead a little bit here, get this pulled up right there for us. Oh. Iowa versus Wisconsin, your 2 favorite teams to talk about on this channel. Chris, tell us a little. Right. Tell us a little bit about the Wisconsin man over there.
Good. I could leave it back to you for the Iowa team. I know that you're super high on this year. Wisconsin, though, 4-1. Here's the thing with Wisconsin. I've had to battle Christian. Me and Christian have gotten into it over Wisconsin all off season. So far this season, they're 4-1 though. The only loss is to Washington State. And Washington State obviously is a pretty good team this year in the Pac-12. But here's the thing in this game. This game is going to be. This is a kind of a weird game. We're talking about Big Ten West teams here, though. Can Wisconsin move the ball against Iowa's top 20 defense? Obviously, we all know Iowa's defense is always really good every single year. But can they move the ball? With Chaz Molesky hurt for the year, Braylon Allen, who I love to death, is going to, he's been carrying the load. He's going to have to continue carrying the load for that Wisconsin offense in the ground and pound. He's averaging 6.5 yards per carry. Christian's got 7 TDs on the year. It's not bad. Christian's favorite guy, Tanner Mordecai, hasn't looked elite. I had to say it. Hasn't looked elite by any stretch of the imagination. And he's going to be tested in this one. This will probably be the best defense that obviously Wisconsin's played all year. Hopefully he can complete some passes in this one. I'm a little worried about this, but he's got over 1,000 yards passing, Christian. He's only got 3 TDs and 3 interceptions on the year. Now, that is not probably what Wisconsin fans were expecting when they got this kid from SMU, but that's the stats. Now, I will say this, though. In his defense, partially, Wisconsin leads the country in drop passes. They haven't gotten any help on the outside with the receivers. I've watched him play a couple times. I mean, some of those guys are open. He's making the passes. Guys are just dropping the balls. You look like the Ravens against the Pittsburgh Steelers last week with like 8 or 9 per game. It's pretty ugly. But defensively, though, Christian, I'll say this. Wisconsin's looking better week in and week out. Wisconsin's been known as a good, obviously defensive team. They didn't start the season off that way. They've looked better, though. I would have to consider that they look really good this week, and maybe you'll make the case for the Iowa man. But Iowa's offense is atrocious. Any idiot knows that. I would like to think that they can, hold Iowa to a certain amount of points here, and I would assume it'd be pretty low. So I'm going to kick it over to you for your team and where you work in the state of Iowa. Let me have it.
Yeah, it's going to be a little lengthy one right here. We don't really talk about Iowa too much on the channel. We do every now and again when we want to feel good about our team's offense. Here's the thing, Chris. I mean, Iowa comes in this matchup against Wisconsin the same as it always does. Questions on the offensive side of the ball, and I mean they're really leaning on their defense. I mean, Iowa right now defensively ranks 29th in total defense and 55th in rushing defense. Okay, they're giving up 131 yards rushing a game, which Wisconsin and Braylon Allen do very well. We know that. If Iowa needed a game to step up and shut out a rushing attack, it's this week, okay? Because I think if they can limit them on the ground, I think the Hawks secondary versus Tanner Mordecai, that might be pretty favorable, honestly. But, offensively, Chris, they rank dead last in total offense. I'm not making that up. They rank dead last in total offense. Chris, I can't remember a coordinator at the major Power 5 level that for 2 years in a row finished almost last in every category that got to keep their job. I can't, in recent memory, I can't think about it.
No, you're right.
I mean, Todd Grantham, I don't think lasted that long at Florida. Or really most of the places he's been. I know Gator Swag will tell us. Let's go. But here's the other thing. I mean, other than the fact that it's Ferentz' son, I'd keep him on staff and look outside for the next OC, right? That way it's a win-win. If Ferentz gets to keep his job, little Ferentz gets to have a job, and you get to fix the offense, right? That's probably what we're going to look to do. I mean, Chris, Iowa's currently rocking with a former Wisconsin quarterback in Deacon Hill, who has a 37.5 completion percentage this year. 37.5. He drops back and throws 9 passes. He's probably going to connect on 3 of them. I mean, he was 6 of 21 against a not-so-great Purdue defense, Chris. Can he play any better against his former team? I don't know. I mean, I'll just say this. It's going to be a very Big Ten score. Iowa 10, Wisconsin 21.
Jesus Christ, we're almost spot on. Give me Iowa 10, Wisconsin 24. Holy shit. I got to ask here. I mean, I know now why you wanted to take Iowa in this matchup. You pretty much just went ham on how bad that offense was, which is what I wanted to do as a Nebraska man. God, they're pathetic, dude. I mean, does Iowa fans even care about Iowa? There ain't a single soul I see on the internet talking Iowa football, nor should they be, but you don't see any.
Yeah, for a 5-1 team, that's a little a little weird.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Chris, I don't really necessarily get it. I mean, and it might look a little biased too because you have a University of Nebraska Huskers thing right behind you, so they might get it a little more. They might think you might be a little biased.
Well, I know, but I mean, I'm not saying. But if I had to pick Iowa, Nebraska, I'd take Iowa over Nebraska right now in the game. I would.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm pretty. I give the Huskers the business, man. I really do.
We'll get into this here in a little bit. We're going to get into this a little bit. Remember, we got Frosted Tips riding on this one, so
yeah, no shit, Jesus, man, I've done that since high school.
It's been a while. All right, looking ahead here, Miami versus North Carolina, Chris. Let's get on the right one here. There we go. Leave a kid from Georgia to do something right. Miami versus North Carolina. Chris, tell me a little bit about the Tar Heels.
Woo! My Tar Heels, baby. Freaking 5-0 so far this season. Ultra high on them on the offseason. I know it doesn't matter to half the people on this channel. But, the only close game this year, Christian, was against
Hmm?
App State in
Ooh.
overtime. Believe it or not. I don't know what to say about that, whether it's good or bad. But App State plays people close. But I will say this, and I got to bring his name up for the 100th time. He was my Heisman finalist this year. Drake May, man, I'm telling you, this guy is elite. I think he's the best quarterback in the country. I'm taking him over Caleb Williams, and I can't believe I'm saying that. And I think it's close. Don't get me wrong. Whoever's getting both these kids is obviously winning in the draft, but he's completing Christian over 73% of his passes. He almost got 1,700 yards, 8 touchdowns. He's got 4 picks, as you can see it there. Again, I keep saying this. You guys got to watch him play, though. I know they haven't played a ton of elite games so far this year, but he makes some NFL elite throws a couple times a game. It's awesome to watch, man. He's really good, especially if you study the quarterback position. UNC, though, can run the ball pretty efficiently as well. They've done a good job this year trying to keep it balanced. O'Meara Hampton obviously got 88 carries for 461 and 7 TDs. So they're pretty much dual threat. USC's defense, and this was the big question coming into the year for me, and I think Christian had the same thing. They were giving up like 33 points a game last year on a decent North Carolina team. This year, they've cut that almost in half. They're giving up 19.1 points per game so far, and I know they haven't played a ton of elite competition yet, but man, that's huge for North Carolina. That's the reason why they're 5-0 and why they have a shot, I honestly think, to compete for an ACC title this year. So here's the big thing in this game, and Christian's going to talk about Miami, who's been the laughing stock on the internet the last 4 days. Can they keep Tyler Van Dyke contained and keep that Miami run offense, slow it down a little bit? I don't see in any way that Miami can contain, obviously, Drake May in the offense, but obviously UNC's defense is going to have to step up here, in my opinion. Christian, this one I want to kick it over to you about Miami.
Thank you, Chris. Miami's coming off one of the most heartbreaking losses we might see this year against Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech. They had the game won. All they had to do was just take a knee and instead decided to run the ball, fumbled it, and the rest is history. Now, Miami controls their own destiny, right? They just went out and all is forgiven, right? And that's going to have to start this week against a very tough North Carolina team, right? The number 12 team in the country. Tyler Van Dyke, I mean, he's looked good, man. He's got 13 touchdowns, right? Total touchdowns and 1,300 yards. I mean, he's looked pretty good. Rushing game looks good as well. They're putting up 211 yards a game, which is 13th in the country right now. You know, for me, UNC's defense is good, but they're not elite. You know what I mean? They're good, but they're not elite. So how's that going to look against a top 10 offense, right? I mean, they have a top 10 offense, dude. Miami does. The defense of Miami, much better. They're ranked 9th in total defense right now. So that's pretty good. I mean, UNC, they're going to come in, try to throw the ball against the Hurricanes, right? So can they step up and stop Drake May in this tough Tar Heel passing attack, Chris? I mean, that's the biggest question to me.
Yeah.
Let you go ahead and give the prediction here.
I like how you did that. I got kind of a crazy score here. I know this isn't going to be popular by most people's thoughts, but I got Miami at 27 points. Give me North Carolina 40. I think North Carolina is going to roll offensively. I think Miami will put up some points, but in the end, man, give me Mac Brown and give me Drake May.
You know, I like it, Chris. I'm going to take a very similar sentiment to you. Give me North Carolina. Give me 31. Miami 38.
Whoa! You call an upset here?
Damn right I am.
Let's fucking go.
Yeah, so I'm taking the upset on this one only because, hey, Miami, sneakily good team. I mean, we saw what they did to Texas A&M. Now, Texas A&M, what are they? You know, we still don't. From week to week, they vary, right? UNC's look pretty good all year. They're undefeated. Survived against App State.
Okay.
Doing what they need to do. But, man, I'm just looking at it here, dude. Van Dyke has 135 pass attempts, has 4 more touchdowns than Drake May does on 179 pass attempts.
I agree, but I just don't. I think North Carolina has taken their foot off the gas in most of those games, like Minnesota and some of those teams, man. I'm with you. Tyler Van Dyke is a good quarterback. He is. I didn't bring that up in my segment, but he is. I'm sorry, man. You played with Georgia Tech, a team that lost to Bowling Green the week before. I can't can't do it. I know this is off past weeks, but
they're I don't know. Sometimes when you're searching for yourself, you're finding that continuity. I mean, we saw it. Florida State did this last year too, right?
No, I agree. I agree with you. I like the hot take. I can't. I think North Carolina's for real this year. I truly do. I think they're a really good team. Miami, I think, is a good team. I think they're better than years past. I just don't think they pulled this one off, especially being at North Carolina.
Tell you what we'll do, Chris. I'll tell you what we'll do.
What are we going to do?
Miami loses. All right. If Miami wins, you buy a turnover chain. If North Carolina wins, I'll buy a North Carolina jersey.
Let's go. Virtual bet.
Shake the hands.
There we go.
We'll do all that.
Love it, man. Let's go. I'm going to write that one down.
Write it down and remind me, by God. I've got a lot of more of them over here.
Yeah, I know you do. I know you do. Chat, what do you guys got in the old chat tonight? We got anything? Daniel, I like that call in the game right there. That was about where I'm at. I like it. Yeah, Miami did shit the bed last game. That was galaxy level stupid on the Cristobal's part there. I don't understand that. Okay, Christian, say that. I'll say this real quick.
Mm-hmm.
If Miami would have won that game last week, they would have been undefeated coming to this game, just like obviously North Carolina is. Even if they won it ugly, whatever, a win's a win. Would that change your prediction on this game?
Yeah, probably.
Okay.
I mean, I would never wear anything with a U on it. Well, I can't expect that you would. There's something else I want to look up real quick. I'm pretty sure I saw this. Let me just take a look.
I'm going to take a quick piss real quick. I'll let you get it on. I'll be back in a second.
All righty. Well, we'll wait for Chris to come back for me to share that news there. But yeah, let's kind of touch on, Gator Swag says, yeah, North Carolina has that wide receiver back. That's very good for them. You almost wonder, though, him coming back this late in the season. I'm sure he's been around the team. I'm sure he's been practicing. I'm sure he's been doing it, doing stuff. But how does that translate getting, plucked into this matchup against Miami? I mean, we see it all the time in the NFL where, guys come back. Like Jamison Williams, for example, for the Lions, was out all that time. And then, he's come back, and of course he wasn't allowed to be near the team, and I don't know if this other kid was either. And they kind of put guys on pitch counts. They kind of try to work them in, give them a couple games to kind of get back up to game speed, do all that, kind of sink in and kind of make it seamless. So that's what I'm curious about with this kid. I think his name's Tez something or another, coming back for UNC. I think he'll be, if they can win this game and win out, great for them, right? I mean, that'll be good for UNC either way to get this kid back. The thing I wanted to look up, did you know that this isn't the first time, by the way, that Mario Cristobal, as a head coach, has done something baffling and given a game away?
Didn't he do this shit? I thought I heard this on a different channel. He did the same shit when he was at Oregon against Stanford.
Was Stanford, yeah. Could have run out the clock by taking a knee, instead took a loss. Oregon's win probability shot from 98.7% that day, which is at least less egregious than the 99.9 number Miami reported Saturday per ESPN Analytics. Never going to be 100% until the game is over for reasons such as this, from the Associated Press Dispatch. Afterwards, Cristobal was asked why Oregon elected to run on 2nd and 2 in the final minute of regulation rather than taking a knee. On consecutive plays, Verdell fumbled, which set up Stanford's game-tying drive. We felt pretty good about the run game, he said. We just needed one more to set to get a first down and close out the game. As then Oregon quarterback Justin Herbert said afterward, unfortunately, we kind of shot ourselves in the foot a couple times, and we did everything we could to just give Stanford the game.
Is Cristobal competing for this year's Special Olympics, or what's he doing?
Well, he is he's getting real close, by God. He might place on the podium after that.
Jesus, man. Like, not only to do that once, to do it twice. I mean, I know he's a hell of a recruiter, right? That's why he's there. Everybody, it's always the recruiting with him. I think he is a good recruiter, but I'm starting to really think that he's just a big fat dummy as a head coach and really has no goddamn idea of what he's doing. Because not only once, Christian, you didn't learn your lesson, you did it twice. That's called a pattern, and I think we're starting to see something there.
Well, I guess if there's any positives you could glean from it, at least he wasn't trying to throw the ball.
Yeah, but that's
You know what I mean? Like,
I mean, I'm not even gonna. Yeah, if you would have been a Georgia fan and Kirby Smart did that, dude, you would be that whole background behind you would have been destroyed.
well, I can tell you this right now, probably would not be erect. We'd probably, we'd probably put up some Miamis. I don't know what we would do, right? I don't know what we would do if that
so
happened.
Stupid, though, dude. That's just dumb. Just dumb. Just take the win. And you can't blame the kid that fumbled. I know he shouldn't have fumbled, but he should have never been put in that position to begin with. I mean, that was just that was just, I want to say that was just fucking retarded. Like it was. That was just dumb. And you cost your team a win against a team that obviously Georgia Tech had lost to Bowling Green the week before. Get into this game. They're probably looking ahead to this game, honestly, against North Carolina, being undefeated.
Gator Swag says, did you know Miami hasn't won a home ACC game since he's been at Miami? Wow.
What?
Looking at it, yeah. Georgia Tech this year was the first one for him. Let's take a look here.
I thought they beat
North Carolina
at home.
Well, no, he's saying a home ACC game. Like
ACC opponent. I'm sorry, I can't read.
Yeah, last year they lost to North Carolina at home. They lost to Duke at home. They lost to Florida State at home, and lost to Pitt at home.
Interesting.
Yeah. The more you know.
The more you know.
On the road in the ACC, other than Clemson, I mean, the guy's a god.
Well, the only 9 or 15 people show up to a Miami home game anyway.
Yeah, they're just pre-gaming for the
road. Yeah, I mean, it's like playing on the road. They rent out the Dolphin Stadium.
You say they're just pre-gaming for the Dolphins the next day.
No shit, man. Let's go Miami, man. Fucking Dolphins, let's go. Not the Hurricanes. That's a good stat though. I wouldn't have guessed that. Jesus.
Oh my God, did he? Yeah, he did. 45 to 31. Yeah. Oh,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. Well, hey, I guess it could always get worse.
Yeah.
I guess it could always get worse than for the Florida man out there. Not the Florida man, but just the Florida men in general. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree. Could be worse. Could be a Nebraska fan right now. We got people walking around with a bye week thinking that's a W. So, look, man, I don't know what to say.
I don't know either. I mean, I think we touched on this, Chris. As the bye week keeps going longer and longer, and every day goes by, I think that a little more of this is happening, man. I'm telling you right now, a little more posturing starts happening. People get a lot more confident with it. All of a sudden, the team that 2 weeks ago, really not even a week ago, we thought, hey, man, they might struggle to win 3 or 4 games this year. All of a sudden starts becoming a 9-win team.
Oh, yeah. I heard it today. Nebraska's winning out. Big Ten West champs. I'm telling you, I work at downtown Lincoln, man. I don't get any closer than that. And I work with people my age, younger, some people older than me. I hear a lot of stuff, and I keep myself, pretty quiet. But holy shit, man. This bye week, Christian called. He's like, you think with the bye week, the Nebraska fans will just continue to crescendo up and up and up, and that's where it's going. Here in 4 days, Nebraska competing for a national title against Georgia. Don't worry, it's coming. Don't worry.
They'll smoke Michigan. They'll get back in. They'll do what they got to do.
Yep.
We'll be the first 3-loss team to make it to the playoffs.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No. I mean, Michigan was a fluke. They caught us at a bad time. Fuck the Michigan man. We're going to make payback against Todd Gurley, how he ran over us for 300 yards 15 years ago or 10, 12 years ago. Yep, that's where it's going, dude. Trust me, it's coming. Don't worry, Nebraska man. It's there. Trust me. It's right on the way.
Meanwhile, I work in Iowa and I talk with a lot of Iowa fans, and I don't think I've ever seen somebody that's 5-1 be more terrified and disappointed in their program. It's like too polar.
Realistic.
Right, yeah. They're like, Wisconsin, yeah. I had someone, they had an Iowa polo on I was talking to today, and they were like, yeah, with Wisconsin, we got to play them? Oh, great.
Right?
I wonder what that score will be.
I got a question for you. I got it because since it's this made up rivalry thing. I don't like it, but if
Yeah.
you had to pick right now, who wins between Iowa and Nebraska on a neutral site?
Dude, that's a pick'em game right there from hell. I mean, both defenses I think are pretty good, right? I don't think, and this is so yeah. Well, that's your exact. Who's going to score? You know, David Goggins, the former Navy SEAL, talks about who's going to carry the boats, who's going to score in that one, right? I think that, you know, here's the thing I'm going to say, right? I think that Iowa's defense, and I didn't talk about this that much in the segment we were talking about Iowa, but I think Iowa's defense, they're good this year, but they're not as good as they've been in years past.
No, I agree.
And their offense is worse than they've been in years past.
Say that again.
Their offense is worse than it's been in years past.
How's that possible?
Yeah. I mean, at least last year they finished like 120 something. Right now they're like 130th. I mean, Gordon says Nebraska. I don't know. I mean, again,
I don't either. I don't. I mean, if you guys had to bet your mortgage, or if anybody owns a home, I know Christian does. I'm assuming Corn, you probably own something. If you had to bet your mortgage tomorrow with a gun to your head saying who wins this game outright at a neutral site, I truly do not. I would flip a coin. Fuck it. I mean, I don't know who to bet. I would have no idea who wins that game.
Only because, like, you know, you can say, okay, well, Nebraska's offense looked really good against Illinois. Go back and look at it. I mean, just go back and look at it. We were looking at it before they got on. Let me go back and do this. I can't believe I'm doing this. And then don't worry, Gators. I'm going to come back for you here, and we'll talk a little Joe Brady and why that would probably be very dangerous.
Illinois, dude. That's the other problem, Christian, why he's pulling this up. Illinois is the worst team probably in the Big Ten this year. I mean, I'm dead serious. That was not a good game by Nebraska. It was ugly. Both teams had a total of 6 turnovers, 18 penalties. It was an ugly game. I know we won, and I'm happy about it. But overall, if we play like that again, Purdue will run us off the field. Northwestern will beat us. Michigan State, we might have a tough time with them, and I think they're really bad this year. Christian, go ahead and pull those stats up if you find it, though.
I got it right here for you. They beat Toledo, national powerhouse Toledo, Illinois did, 30-28. They lost to Kansas, and they lost to Kansas 34-23, but as Chris pointed out, wasn't even a remotely close game. They only came back after Kansas started putting in some of their backup. I mean, Penn State, that's probably their best loss, I would say, yet. I mean, they lost 30-13 at home to which is probably going to be Penn State's flattest game this year in games not named Ohio State or Michigan. Mm-hmm. Florida Atlantic 17-23, and then Purdue 44 to Illinois 19. So, yeah, they have not looked what we thought they were, as they say, right? No. Seth, by the way, in the chat here, we were just talking a little bit about a little bit ago. Don't worry, you didn't miss too much. We picked Wisconsin to beat Iowa this week in what's going to probably be a very Big Ten West game.
Yeah, I'm gonna flip this helmet over. Christian just took too much time talking about Illinois and how bad they are. I gotta flip the helmet over. Christian, I'll let you take that over. I can't. I thought Illinois was gonna win 8 games this year. Somebody crucify me.
But man, what else are you guys thinking about here, man? I mean, it's college football. It's college football season, man. We're excited here. We're in the heart of it, halfway through the season here. What's been your biggest surprise? What's been your biggest disappointment this part here? Gator Swag talks about, Billy Napier's already probably talking about hiring a new offensive coordinator, looking at maybe Joe Brady, former LSU coordinator here, coming back. I mean,
does Billy Napier even have a job after this year?
Well, you got to see that. I mean, that's the whole thing there. That's the whole thing right there. I mean, we don't know that, right? I mean, right now they got 4 wins. What happens if they only get 5? Yeah, they got 4.
Are they at 4?
Yeah.
I thought they were at 3. Oh, they beat Tennessee. That's right. Vanderbilt. Yeah, you're right. They got 4. But they got like Florida State, LSU, and like top-loaded heavy teams.
Yeah, they're very back very back heavy in that schedule. Have you seen our alternate uniforms? Corn says, obviously talking about Nebraska, zero effort there.
Which ones are they?
I think he's talking about like that the Adidas like throwback to like the '90s type thing or whatever. You know what I mean? That they do. Looks like practice jerseys pretty much. I mean, like I
had a, not to interject here. I was talking to a guy that knows and played for Lincoln East here years ago, and he's got a bunch of buddies played on the '90s Nebraska team, and we were talking about uniforms for Nebraska. Why don't they incorporate some fucking black?
Yeah,
it would look really sick. I'm not saying it do it every game like Tennessee has, all their gimmick shit. Like, just do it once a year and incorporate some black into something. I have the black like mini helmet back here. That thing is freaking sick looking. I don't know why they don't do something like that instead of trying to do the old 80s replica. Like, who gives a shit? Like, you'd actually probably invite some recruits in if we actually did something with some of our color schemes. I'm going to leave it there, but I had to go on a rant about that for about 10 seconds.
Oh, he says it's pretty much the same as always, but a patch celebrates 100 years.
Yeah, well. Come on, patch. Dude, that's why Nebraska's always 50 years behind everybody else in the world.
Well, don't feel too bad, dude. I mean, fuck. Don't feel too bad here.
Patch.
George is listen, dude. Listen.
Georgia's got their night uniform. I've seen one of those black ones before. Those at least look cool.
Yeah, that's what I don't understand. Like, you got this rocking around, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's badass.
But they never will.
I know, but you guys don't have to. You intimidate people when you walk on the fucking field. Nebraska shits their pants before they walk on any field. And they soil those white drawers they wear. Come on, man.
I mean, even this right here. Even this, like, let's get some alternates in here, right? Like something, dude. I mean, this one's gonna hurt putting this up here. You know who that is right there.
Oh God. Is that who I think that is?
Who you think that is?
Is that JT Daniels?
Nah, it's Arch Manning.
Oh yeah, that didn't work out. That's all right. You didn't need Arch Manning. I don't even get a start on Arch Manning. You didn't need him. You guys got
white helmets.
Dylan Raiola. That's your.
Oh man. To be honest, though, I'd take Raiola over Manning.
I would too. I agree. I think Malik Murphy will end up beating him out at Texas next year, personally.
I don't doubt it, dude. I've been on the Malik Murphy train for a hot minute.
I like the kid. Too.
That's if Quinn Ewers don't come back for a third year.
Yeah, that's gonna be tough if he. Yeah, I know one of those guys is gonna transfer. Then they're gonna have
100%.
So go to Nebraska. Come here.
Seth says Florida is screaming trap game for Florida State. Basically talking about Florida State being a trap game against Florida. I can see it.
I don't. No way. You know my thoughts on Florida State this year. No way. Florida State's up for a national title this year, dude. Get the fuck out of here.
Well, I know that. You know what I mean? I know that. I'm just saying.
Florida's not that good, though, Christian.
No, but it's like the same thing with Auburn and Alabama. You know what I mean? It doesn't matter if they're good or not good. Every year it's like the last game of the season for them, right?
Oh, are you trying to tell me Graham Mertz? You're going to put your stock in him?
Oh, I'm not betting that Florida wins that game. I'm just saying I could see what they're saying.
Yeah, I know it's a rivalry. I mean, I get that, but like, I just don't see how Florida State, if you guys didn't watch Florida State just run for 300 yards last week against not a very good Va Tech team, but they can run the ball too. We saw what Florida can do against the run, and that's not much. I mean, one guy had like 300 yards at halftime. I just don't see how Florida. I'm sorry, Gators swag. I know you hate me anyway, but I just don't understand how Florida. You guys are going to be lucky to make a bowl game, man. I'm dead serious, and it ain't getting any easier the year next year.
Those SEC homers, we got to stick together out here.
You guys, God, you SEC guys. When's Georgia going to get beat? You guys are you obviously win this weekend, so that's 24 in a row. You guys ever going to get beat? Ever?
Hey, I don't know, dude. My back's kind of hurting. After you go back to back,
Yeah, I know. Gator Swag says keep hating. I am going to keep hating. Don't worry. I ain't shutting it off. Not
Yeah,
at
Chris
all.
is riding the Deion Sanders hate train over there, apparently.
Yeah, no, I get lit up by Colorado fans every day. I hate them actually more than I hate Florida.
Drinks Haterade for lunch.
Mm-hmm.
When do we see Manning play? I don't know. I don't know.
Think he beats out Malik Murphy next year, dude. Christian, what do you think?
I don't know if we're going to see him play at Texas.
I agree with that statement. I think he goes somewhere else. I think he goes to an SEC school like Ole Miss or somewhere down there. I truly do. That's my thoughts. Christian, I'll kick it back to you for that one.
I 100% agree. Or now, and hear me out, he probably transfers to Alabama.
Wow. Yeah, what's Milrow? Milrow, whatever his name.
Who knows? Jalen Hurts 2.0.
God, it makes me fucking Jalen Hurts 2.0. He ain't fucking close to Jalen Hurts.
All right. Well, what was Jalen Hurts at Alabama?
He didn't have to throw the ball a lot, but he had a good year. He had definitely, at least his whole, I don't know, he took him to a fucking national title game, took Oklahoma to a playoff game. You think Milrow's going to do that?
No, I don't. But I'm just saying, from a skill. But I also, here's what I'm saying too. If you put Milrow into some of those teams that were a little more veteran,
agree.
Could he not?
Yeah.
He would look a lot better. I'm not saying he would win a lot, but I'm just saying, or he would win the whole damn thing. I'm just saying he could be Hurts-esque.
I will say this. I agree with you. You're right. I probably spoke too soon there, but I will say this. If you guys didn't watch Milrow play last week, he passed the ball incredibly well. I took Alabama in that game. He played his best game I've ever seen him play, and not even close. He threw some balls down the field to Burton and those guys. He looked good. I can't believe I'm saying that. I know Christian and I harp on him all the time, but especially me, but he looked good. But if you would, God, that would save Dick Saban's career over there. Gets a guy like Arch Manning. I think they need somebody able to throw the ball a little bit more consistently than Milrow. That would be a start.
You imagine that storyline? It's week 4. Bama travels on the road. Arch Manning is their quarterback to go take on Texas and Malik Murphy.
Yeah. Well, Texas can be in the SEC next year.
That's what I'm saying. Wow,
that would be interesting. That's a good point. Well, I might have to come back to this video next year. There we go. Love it.
There you go.
Good point, Seth. Love it, man.
Let's see. What are black shirts?
You don't know what black shirts are?
Oh, I know what they are. I'm just asking if anybody in this decade knows what they are. No, I'm just kidding. In all seriousness,
they've looked good enough on defense this year.
They look good enough on defense. I mean, it was more a joke on my part. I don't know. To me, after the season they had last year and just the performance against Michigan, let's save it for next year.
Yeah, they'll never do that because they hand them out every year. But I agree with you. I do agree the fact that I'm happy that Nebraska's defense is definitely better than it was last year. But they did get exposed by a very good Michigan team. But we're going to find out here at the end of the year when they have to play teams like Wisconsin, Maryland, their offense. You hold them to some points and win that game, I'll give everybody a black shirt.
Tell you what they need to start handing out is red shirts and get some people with experience back there, man. That's what we need. Get this team a little more experience.
You're not wrong. That's a good point.
All right.
Oh, go ahead.
Florida beats Georgia 20-17. Yeah, maybe in the year 2017, but not this year. I mean,
Swag. What kind of I want to say, what kind of drugs are you on over there, buddy? You ain't actually betting Florida to beat Georgia. I mean, let's be honest.
What do you want to bet? What do you want to bet on it?
I mean, come on, man. You don't actually believe that when you type it. I mean, there's no way. Florida don't even come within 25 to 30 points of Georgia. And that's on a good day.
He also said Georgia was going to get steamrolled by Kentucky.
And how'd that work out? By a team that steamrolled you.
I don't get it. I don't get it,
Hey,
Chris.
bring up Seth's comment right there. I have Penn State beating Michigan and Ohio State. I said the same goddamn thing this year. I said that Penn State will beat Ohio State, and I think it's going to come down to a goddamn last-second field goal against Michigan, man. I actually – people keep writing off Penn State, Christian. I know you're pretty high on them too, but, like, I think Ohio State has some issues this year. Their offense is not near as what it was, and I think this is the year for Penn State. If they want to get it done, Christian, I think this is the year for James Franklin.
I agree.
This is it.
With that statement, this is the year to get it done. But I don't think they're going to beat either one of those teams this year.
Man, I'll take Penn State over Ohio State this year. Fuck the Ohio State, man.
Well, you said they're going to beat both of them.
No. I said I picked them. I think between Michigan and them, it'll be close, though. I do. Yeah. I think they beat one of them, though. I do this year for Penn State.
Yeah, I don't know. I just don't. I don't see it. I don't see it. But that, that's just
okay.
Me.
All right.
That's what makes college football so fun.
Agree to disagree.
Yeah. Hit by double digits for both games. Damn. Bold take right there. Bold take right there. I like it. Georgia can't sleep on Florida when they have fought games after Florida. Well, let's simmer it down here. Nobody can sleep on anybody. But if it's Georgia, you know what they're going to do. They're going to not show up for a half and then turn around and back and win. So, how you want it, I guess, is the real question. But it's all in fun in the rivalries, right? It's a rivalry. Anything can happen. So we'll see what happens. But let's come up, think about a bet, put it in the chat, and let's do it. Something doesn't have to be anything high stakes. Let's just do something fun. Like Chris over there, right? He's giving me diet advice. He's like, eat yogurt. Keep it light. Keep it fun. Keep it playful. Some shit he says. Some other shit he says, too, that I don't understand on this podcast is...
I love lamp. Brick, do you really love the lamp, or are you just looking at things in the room and saying you love them? I love lamp. So I do love the lamp. Christian's lamp in the background is definitely a 5-star lamp back there. It is even crooked. Not sure what's going on with that. If you got it from Walmart, picked it up off a homeless man. I really don't know what the hell is going on there, Christian, but somebody does love your lamp, and they're pretty infatuated with it.
I love that lamp.
There it is. You were a little far away from your mic. We didn't quite hear you there. I know you're getting excited about your lamp.
No, I love talking about the lamp. Oh, sorry. Wrong one there.
There we go.
How does the up front 5 Florida State offensive line? I thought they looked pretty good. I mean, right? Like at times they looked pretty good.
Yeah. I think personally, and I haven't watched. I hate to say this, we watch so much freaking football over here, Rod. I haven't watched a lot of Florida State, like personally, since the Clemson game. Jordan Travis is not winning the Heisman this year. His numbers just don't reflect that, unfortunately, and he's been banged up a little bit. I would say average. He's gotten hit a lot this year. It sucks. And if I don't know how long you've been following the show, Rod, but I am ultra high in Florida State. I had them in the playoffs this year. I have them rolling through the ACC. So I'm going to keep going Seminoles, but little concerned about Florida State's defense more than I am anything, to be 100% honest with you.
I mean, they're doing all right, man. I mean, they're doing what they need to do. I mean, I'm looking it up right now. They're 27th. They're tied 27th. They've only given up 6 sacks in 5 games. So,
okay,
I think they're all right. I mean, they're doing exactly what they need to do. It could be a lot worse. I mean, there's a lot of other teams that can't even drop back and think about passing the ball.
Right. No, I'm just a little bit worried about Jordan Travis. He's been banged up a lot, and I know that he probably hasn't put up the numbers Florida State and their fans would want offensively this year, but goddamn, they're undefeated. They're in the driver's seat of the ACC. You can't ask for much more, in my opinion, especially Florida State coming off every year they're supposed to be back. I think, we talked about them a lot in the offseason, but I think Florida State's got a damn good football team, especially this year. So
they're like me at the drive-thru after 2 months on this diet, Chris. They're back, dude.
All right, let's go.
Let's go. Well, guys, I think this is a good place for us to wrap up for the show. What we're going to do, again, we'll be back at it again Saturday morning.
Please join us Saturday morning.
Oh, my God, that'd be the best. We need all the help we can get here Saturdays just aren't the same as they used to be growing up, man. Game day is not, as riveting as it used to be. It's not as riveting as it used to be. So, we'll see kind of what happens. And but yeah, I'm excited, Chris. Be there on Saturday. We got another great slate of shit coming for you. Yeah. And I love Lamp.
Christian said it best. I'm out of here. I love Lamp more than you guys will ever know. We'll see ya.